Hi, this is Ron, the colorblind artist, and I've been drawing ever since I could pick up a pencil. A few years back, I decided to give painting a try. And not just any painting, I want to paint a masterpiece. So I decided to make these videos to document my journey from a beginning painter all the way to that masterpiece. Now just how far I'll go, we'll just have to wait and see. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Okay, in this video, I'm going to be painting my brand new grandson, Freddie. And here I'm painting the background in a neutral gray, and I'll explain later on in the video why I started this and why I decided to paint this with gray. And as you can see, I used a grid system to get my proportions right. And a grid system is simply putting squares on a reference photo, transferring that, making them larger, and putting them on a canvas. I don't always have to use a grid system, but in this particular painting, I did decide to use it because children, if you've ever done any drawing of kids or infants, it's very hard to get the proportions exactly right, especially when you enlarge it like I did in this painting. Another time that I would use a grid system is if I was doing a commission for someone and someone asked me to paint a family member, a grandparent or a brother or somebody. I would use a grid system because if that's all I have to go off of, you're doing it for the customer, and it better be perfect. So I would use a grid system if I was doing a commission, or if it, like had some tricky perspective or something like that. And as you can see, while I'm laying down my first layer of little Freddie's skin tone, it looks, compared to the white of the canvas, it looks really dark, but I've learned in past paintings that by the time I get the blanket done and some other colors in there, this is not going to be dark at all. And that's why a lot of artists will prep their canvas with like a medium tone, like a burnt umber or a medium brown or something like that. And that just helps them with their values. And I'm definitely keeping that in mind as I'm laying down the skin tone. I know that it might look dark now, but later on it won't be. All right, now let's go over the colors I'll be using in this painting while I'm working on Freddie's cute little face here. I normally have some form of the three primary colors, a medium brown, and of course black and white. And the three primary colors I'll be using for this painting is a French ultramarine, cadmium yellow, and a permanent alizarin crimson. And I did have a Mars black ready to go, but I didn't use any black on this painting whatsoever. Of course, I also had titanium white on my palette, and I also tried a new white. It's a soft mixing white, because in the past when I'm trying to lighten up like the shadow areas, this titanium white kind of leaves like a milky film over it. So I'm trying a soft mixing white, and it seems to be working pretty good. It did work pretty good on this one. I had no problems with it. And as for my neutral color, I normally use either burnt umber or burnt sienna. I thought I'd try something new with this one, and it's a Van Dyke brown. I can't say that I'm too pleased with it. It's a beautiful color, but I think this Van Dyke brown would probably work better with some landscapes. Maybe I'm giving up too quickly on the Van Dyke brown, but another problem I had with it when I'm mixing it with that French ultramarine, it really didn't make a really dark black that I like. The best black that you can make that I've noticed so far without using black is ultramarine blue and burnt umber. You mix those two together, it makes a really, really dark color, almost black. And another color that gave me problems this go around was a cadmium yellow. And as you can see here on Freddie's little forehead, the left side of it, it's kind of too yellow. And I probably could have gotten away with like a yellow ochre, since it's not so saturated. And I believe in the future, if I do any more, excuse me, I know I'll be doing more portraits, but I'm going to be probably switching over to yellow ochre when I'm doing portraits, because I don't need anything that bright yellow. Now, as far as the blanket that's wrapped around Freddie here, I initially started this off with some warm shadow areas, using, basically more red than the blue in shadows. But after I got the blanket about halfway done, my wife said it was kind of making the blanket look pink and almost looked like it was, a little girl. And she was right. So I went ahead and repainted it, and I started using the blue for the shadow areas. And I'm glad I did. I think it turned out a lot better using the blue. Although it is like a white blanket, you still need some type of shadow color. So it's like you got to make a decision. And again, I think that the cool color of the blanket against the warm color of the skin uh, makes a good contrast. And here I'm repainting the background color that I had originally painted gray, uh, because to be honest, I wasn't for sure what color I was going to paint it. And I actually did a couple spot areas and I painted different colors. I decided to go with a light green color, again, because it's complementary to the skin tones, which is basically, more reddish. So I do make mistakes, and I'm not afraid to admit when I make mistakes. The trick is to recognizing when you do make mistakes and figuring out what you need to do to fix them and try not to do them again. I believe if someone could start a business where you make a bunch of mistakes, I'd probably be the CEO. But one mistake I don't make is comparing my work to anyone else's, either my peers or the people I look up to, I watch online. If I sat there and did a side-by-side comparison to some professional artists, it would probably be pretty discouraging, and I'd probably just give up painting. So what I choose to do, rather than comparing my work to anyone else's, is I compare my work to work I've done in the past. And as long as I'm seeing improvement, even if it's just a little bit, now that gives me encouragement. And trust me, this painting compared to the very first portrait I ever tried is light years ahead of where I was at. So try to focus on the positive and forget about the negatives. And at this stage of the painting, I'm just basically making very minute changes, a little bit changes in the value, a little bit changes of the color and the saturation, but very, very slight. And if anybody would like to follow along on my social media, I am on Rumble and I am on Truth Social. Both places I am the Colorblind Artist. And for any reason you want to contact me, you can email me at thecolorblindartist67@gmail.com. And you can contact me for any reason you like. If you just want to chit chat, that's fine. And here I'm working on Freddie's little hand. And I wasn't sure how much detail I was going to put into the hand. If you've ever drawn or painted a hand before, they're very difficult to do. I just wanted to make sure that it looked like a hand and not like a squid hand or a hoof or something like that. And I wanted to make sure that the values and colors matched the face. But in the long run, I decided not to give it a whole lot of detail. But I didn't want it to be distracting either. Hopefully I made the right decision because I could have probably spent another 10, 15 hours on the hand alone. And here I turn the painting on the side just so I can come back in with a darker shadow area and kind of cut back into this blanket. It was still wet on that side and I'm right-handed and I didn't want to have to drag my hand through the wet paint. However, it is a good idea for every now and then to flip your painting upside down, and I don't know why this works, but it does. And you can actually see things at a kind of a different perspective. Also, if you take a photo of it and flip the image like you're looking in a mirror, it's almost as if you're looking at someone else's painting, and it's easier to critique and maybe notice some mistakes that you haven't noticed before. And before we get out of here, I'd like to ask everyone to hit that thumbs up button for me. And don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Thank you, take care, and God bless.